This is Mr. Max McBride. It has been a while since I have done one of these, so I am just going to say that, it's going to be a busy month in October. I'm going to quite load a lot of videos on ordinary level for the grade 11s and then also the AS level learners who for your upcoming examinations. And you see the time that I'm doing this, right? So I'm going to be working throughout this month, try to get as much work in as possible for you to be able to follow. All right. Okay, so I'm going to enable the camera because it's quite a distraction. So what I'm doing today is I'm doing a paper, an ordinary level paper that I gave to my students for their September examinations. So you'll also see in the link below where you can download this paper directly from my Google Classroom. Okay, I'm going to aptly name it September 2022 question paper. All right, so let's get into this question paper. It's 120 marks. It's quite, it's 3 hours long when you write it. I am starting with the first question. It says Dina owns a clothes shop. So she sells clothes. Maria works in the shop. She works for 5 days each week from 10 a.m. until 6:30. All right, so maybe you can change 6:30 to 18:30. That is going to allow us to find out how long does Maria work. So she works there for 8 hours and 30 minutes per day. And then we also know she takes 45-minute breaks. So when you take a 45-minute break, so I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to utilize the space that I have. So suggest that, remember in the exam, use your space. So we know that she has to work 8 hours and 30 minutes per day. So if I take away 45 minutes from that, so that's going to leave me, remember, with 7 hours and 45 minutes. So effectively, this is the amount of time that she should work. Now, remember, this can also be written as 7.75 hours. So I'm just rewriting it as a decimal. Okay, remember you put a 45 over 60 and then you get 7.75. Also grab your calculator when you are working with this. Okay, so you have 75 or 45 upon 60, 0.75, just for you to know how I'm changing that. Okay, so so from 18:30 minutes, you take away 10 o'clock. Well, you see that it's 8 hours 30 minutes. That's the duration. And if I take away 45 minutes from that, okay, that gives you 7 hours and 45 minutes. All right, so then I'm just changing that over to decimal. Now, uh, now we know per day as a decimal she works 7.75 hours, and multiplying that by 5, so we're going to say 7.75, so multiply that by 5, okay, because she works 5 days in a week. That's going to give you 38 hours and 45 minutes, okay, which also as a decimal becomes 38.75 hours, right? I would like to work with that. All right, so what else do we know? So she is paid $10.20 for each hour, so that's going to be her wages. So let's calculate then what her wages is, because they are asking for the week's earning, so we'll refer to that as the wages. So the wages is going to be that 38.75. You multiply that by what she is getting paid per hour, okay, and you punch that in onto your calculator. You say 38.75 times 10.2. Okay, so that gives you $395 Namibian and 25 cents. All right, so whatever method you're using in order for you to arrive at this answer, that is exactly worth 3 marks. Then, part B, Dina buys 25 dresses from a manufacturer. She pays a total of $400 for these dresses. She sells all the dresses for $19.80 each. Obviously, she's making a profit, and you're then asked to calculate the percentage profit. So let us just determine what is the profit in any case. So the profit is going to be the 25 dresses that she sells for 19.8. So that is the selling price. Take away the cost price of $400. Okay, well, that's going to give you a $95. So percentage profit is that actual profit of 95 always over the original amount. Well, you can multiply that by 100 over 1. Okay, then that gives you about 23.75% or 23.8, depending on your rounding. Patsy says Dina sells a shirt for 15 Namibian dollars 66 cents. The price includes 15% of value added tax. You are supposed then to calculate the cost of the shirt excluding the value added tax. Okay, right. So this is a question that deals with reverse percentages. So you know that when we are saying value added tax, that means we're going to add. So we're going to say 100% plus 15%. Well, so that gives us 115%. Okay, right. But we're looking for the original cost. So because of the original cost, since we don't know what it is, we say it's reverse percentages. Therefore, the 100 comes on top, and the 115 comes underneath, and you simply multiply that by $15.66. Okay, so once you multiply that, you get about $13.62, of course, to the nearest cent. Then comes part D. Dina is saving to make improvements to her shop, and she invests 35,000 Namibian dollars for 3 years at a rate of 7.5% per year compound interest. Calculate the value of Dina's investment after 3 years, and then you give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. Well, I hope you're familiar with the formula to calculate compound interest, which is the amount, then it's equal to the principal, which is this 35,000, and that is supposed to be 1 plus the rate over 100, in this case 7.5%, and the index here is the number of years. Okay, of course you can also use different methods as long as you find what the amount is. So that's going to be just some calculator work for you, and you can go ahead and punch it in there, and you should get something like 4,000 or 43,480.39063. And the question says you give your answer to 2 decimal places, so that becomes $43,480.39. Okay, let's get to the second question. And you have a triangle here with all the measurements given. Remember, this triangle is not drawn to scale. So it says the diagram shows a triangular field ABC. AB is 95 meters, BC is 132 meters, and AC is 174 meters. Now, you're supposed to show that angle BAC, which is this particular angle here, okay, I'm just going to call it theta for now, that angle is approximately equal to 48.6 degrees. That is given correct to 1 decimal place. Okay, so hope you're familiar with the cosine rule, okay, where we say the cosine of that angle would be 95 squared plus 174 squared minus 132 squared, and all of that comes over 2 times 95 times 174. Well, once you punch that in, you get an answer on your calculator. okay, and you're looking for the angle, so you'll be saying whatever that answer is. In this case, I'm going to grab my calculator so that I can help you. We are going to find the inverse cosine of that answer. So we're going to say 95 squared plus 174 squared minus 132 squared upon 2 times 95 times 174. So you get an answer there of 0.666. So basically we are going to find the inverse because we're looking for the angle, and to prove that that angle is equal to 48.6. So we're going to say, make sure your calculator is in degree mode. You're going to say the inverse cosine of that answer, and then obviously that gives us 48.56, 757, and so on. So it's 48.567 and so on degrees, which is therefore equal to 48.6 degrees, correct to one decimal place, and that was what we required to prove that. Then part B says each square meter of the field is sown with 3 grams of seed. The seed cost $8.50 for 100 gram. So the first things first, you need to calculate the area. So hence you were calculating or finding that particular angle, which we now know is, let's say, 48.6 degrees. So that's what this angle is essentially, and the reason we want that is because we need to be able to calculate now the we need to calculate as I said, we need to calculate the area of this triangle. Okay, right. So let's go back then, and you remember, if you calculate the area of this triangle, the formula for you to calculate the area of the triangle that you're going to use is the area equals to a half times the two sides that are flanked by the angle, and so I'm going to call them side AB, and then multiply that by the sine of that angle theta. Okay, all right. So hopefully you will see and still remember how to do this one. Okay, there's a reason, because I need to determine what is the over area of this triangle. So let me just go back to our question. So we're gonna calculate the area. So we're gonna say that the area is equal to a half, then we multiply that by 95, we multiply that by 174, and we multiply that by the sine of 48.6 degrees. Okay, and this gives us an area of 6,199 point. I'm just going to write it out up to so many decimal places. All right, so that's the area. Okay, and why is this important? So we also now know that each square meter of the field is sown with 3 grams, okay, of seed, and the seed cost $8.50. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take that answer. So we're going to say, just see where my pen is. All right, it's a bit rusty, but we're getting there. So well, let's just go back there. Okay, as I said, once you press things that are out there, you're gonna make small mistakes, but it's not a big deal. We're gonna go back directly to our paper. Let's restore that. Okay, so what we have now, we have 6,199.66799. We multiply that by 3, and then we're going to divide the answer by 100, and then we multiply that by 8.5. Okay, all right. So all of this, if you punch them in, you get 1,580.915338. Okay, so the cost of the flower seed needed for this is therefore, let's say, anything in that region. So I will definitely accept 1,581, but I can say maybe 92 to 2 decimal places. So anything that in a regional or a reasonable range will be accepted. Question 3. Well, they've got some Venn diagrams here. Perhaps we can make this a bit smaller. All right. In a class of 24 boys, 16 play soccer. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, okay, so that's 16. 11 of them play rugby. If 2 play neither, so that 2 comes in this region. How many play both games? So we don't know how many play both games, so I'm going to say that is x. So in this region here, I'm going to have 16 take away x, and this region I'm going to have 11 take away x. Okay, right, so we're going to use that information, and then we are obviously going to solve that equation. All right, so we know also that the universal set is 24 because there are 24 boys. So you're going to say, if you create the equation, you say 16 take away x plus 11 minus x. You can say plus 2. All of this should equal to 24. So, totally up to you which one you are going to do. All right, so on this side, remember, if you look closely here, you will see that, of course, this x and that x will cancel. All right, so eventually I'll just be left with that x there. Here I have a 16. If I add 11, that's 27. If I add 2, that's 29. So I'm going to have plus 29. Well, that equals to 24. All right, so remember, we are trying to solve this equation. So I'm going to have minus x equals to 24. Take away 29. This is going to give me minus x is equal to negative 5. Therefore, the correct answer should be 5. Right? There are many other ways you can do that. Right? Part B. Maybe perhaps I can change back to red to bring out that contrast. So you have the universal set is a set of x such that x is a number between 1 and 10, and 1 and 10 is included, and x is an element of real numbers. And then P is square numbers, so square numbers between 1 and 10 will be 1, 4, and 9. Perhaps we can go ahead and write them in there. Okay, so this one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10. So, what do we now have? Write down all the elements. So, of course, a set P will have 1, 4, and 9. But look at what set P and Q, they're sharing 1 and they're sharing 4. So, you go ahead and you put 1 and 4 in there. Okay, and then the rest of the stuff for set Q, the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 6, you can go ahead and add them. And everything that is not within that comes on the outside, as you can see there. Okay. Now, part 2, Roman 2, list all the elements of P union Q complement. Okay. Well, what is not in the union? What is not in the union of P and Q? Well, you list them, and when you are listing them, make sure that your answers are in brackets. If they're not in brackets, okay, you're gonna have problems. Very important. Your answers must be in brackets. Okay. Oh my goodness, where I spelled parentheses there or brackets. TS. There you go. Part C. The number of elements in P intersect Q complement. Well, this could be a little bit tricky. So what do we know? Let's say I'm going to do P intersect Q complement. So I know that the elements of P is 1, 4, 9. Okay. And what is not in Q, so let me go back. What is not in Q will be everything else. So it will be the 9, 10, the 7, and the 8. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so what does this little intersection here mean? Well, we're going to see what do they share, right? So if you look at nicely what they share, obviously they only share a 9. So where is my highlighter here? So let's see if we can highlight that for you. So is that a highlighter? No, that's not. So let's go to this part, the highlighter here. They share a 9. Can you see that? So how many elements are these then that they are sharing? Well, of course, it is just 1. Okay, so the number of elements here, you don't put this 1 in bracket, is 1. They share 9. Good, let's go to question 4. Expresses a single fraction in the simplest form. You always seem to find in exams, you're going to get algebraic fractions. Okay, this is not an equation. Your objective here is to make this a single fraction. So the LCM then becomes 2x minus 3. Combine that with x minus 2. Okay, all right. So you have the 4 here, minus, and then you have the 3 here. So what you're going to then do, you are going to have in this place, you're going to have x minus 2, and here you're going to have 2x minus 3. So you need to clean out the brackets, so that's going to give you 4x minus 8 minus 6x, and be very careful, this is plus 9. Okay, all of that you put over the same denominator, 2x minus 3 upon over x minus 2. So from here, your objective is just to simplify numerator on top there. So 9 minus 8 is 1, and 4x minus 6x will be minus 2x. Okay, so all of this comes over 2x minus 3 and x minus 2. So our final answer then will be 1 minus 2x over 2x minus 3, x minus 2. I saw that a lot of students are going ahead and they are multiplying out the numerator or the denominator. There's no need for that. Okay. Part B, they say you should simplify. Okay, so you can only simplify. Please remember, your algebra should be sound here. You don't cancel out x squares. You must make sure that what you have on top becomes one term, and under should also be one term. And the way you do that is you need to factorize. Okay, so on top you have a difference of 2 squares. It's going to be 2x minus 3, because 2 squared is 4, x squared is x squared, and negative 3 squared is 9. Okay, so one bracket will be 2x minus 3, the other one will be 2x plus 3. All of that, now if you were to factorize that quadratic, you will get 2x plus 3 and also x minus 5. So you can always do that on the side in order for you to know how to factorize that given quadratic there. Okay, so if you are not so 100% familiar with that, so you're going to say 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. So essentially you look for two numbers. When you multiply them, these numbers should give you negative 30, and if you add them, should give negative 7. All right, and the only ones that are going to work there, remember, it's 10 times 3. All right, with the negative being at a 10. So basically, if I was to split this, it becomes 2x squared minus 10x plus 3x minus 15, and then take out pairs. So that's going to x minus 5. This side, the common factor will be positive 3. So if you take out the positive 3, so plus 3, and then you have x minus 5. So it factorizes to 2x plus 3, as well as x minus 5. So this could be something you do on the side, okay? You get it? Right? So once we have done that, we are going to cancel out now the common factors, like so. And what we are left with is our answer. So our answer, therefore, is going to be 2x minus 3 upon x minus 5. Okay, for 3 marks. Question 5. So I have a diagram. It shows a prism with a rectangular base of length 15 centimeters and x centimeters. Okay, the cross section is a right angle triangle. Okay, so that's basically this area here. It's a right angle triangle, and we also told the height of the prism is 4 centimeters less than x, the width, so that is x minus 4, like that. Okay, so what do we then know? We're supposed to show that 3x squared, the volume of the prism, by the way, is equal to 440. Now remember, in order for you to find the volume of a prism, it's going to be the area of cross-section, in this case the area of the multiply the area of this triangle here, multiplied by the height or the length, so multiplied by that 15. Okay, so what is the area of the cross section? Since it's a triangle, the area of the cross section is therefore a half times base times the height and times 15 should give me 440. So if I clean this up nicely, I should definitely arrive at what I was looking for. So of course, these already generate marks. So from here, it's just a matter of you playing it safe. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to have my x minus 4 alone here, and I'm going to have 440. Multiply that by 2, and I'll divide the answer by 15. Okay, divide by 15, multiply by 2. All right, so that you have 440, which times 2 gets you 880. All right, divide that by 15. Of course, that's giving me some number there, 58.66666, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to make sure about my my signs there. It's 15 centimeters, x centimeters, 440 cubic centimeters. Okay, well, in any case, multiply the answer by 2, divide by 15. Well, should get a quadratic. In any case, it's going to be x squared minus 4x equals to, well, let me go back to that answer, my calculator, and I'm just going to take the 176 over 3, the improper value, 176 over 3, and then I'm going to go back and multiply the left side by that 3. So basically, you can do it a different way also, so that the 3's can cancel. All right, so I'll have 3x squared here minus 12x equals 176, and then that gives me 3x squared minus 12x minus 176 equals to 0, and I believe that is what we will require to prove. Okay, so I guess the next part will just be maybe for us to solve the equation. All right, solve the equation, and then if the question says to you, give your answers correct to 2 decimal places, it means that you either have to use the quadratic equation formula or completing the square method. That's something that you ought to remember, because you cannot factorize this. Okay, that thing of saying find 2 numbers, multiply together, give you 3 times minus 176, and if you add them, give you negative 12. It won't work, so you will not be able to factorize this. So you use then the quadratic equation formula in order for you to find the value of x, the required value of x. And you see what I'm doing there is I'm putting my brackets first so that I can just go ahead and identify my a value is equal to 3, my b value is equal to negative 12, and my c value is equal to negative 176. All right, so b would be minus 12 here. You need to make sure, okay, otherwise you'll have issues. All right, you can put 12 here or minus 12, doesn't matter, because anything that you square becomes positive in any case. This is 3 and this is negative 176. Okay, perhaps I can make that one a little bit more, minus 176. So, and under, we're gonna have 2a, the value of a happens to be 3. Well, if you were to punch that in on your calculator, you should definitely get 2 solutions. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and just get to say, so you have, this is going to become a positive 12, by the way, so it's 12. So let's say when it's positive, open, take the square root of 12. You can put negative 12, but let me just put negative 12 in any case, not to confuse people. Squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 176 upon 2 times 3. Okay, so one solution will be 9.92. Okay, so it's 9.92, and obviously I have to go back all the way here and make that then a negative sign, because there are 2 solutions. Whenever you square, you take the square root of something, so put a minus there. My second answer, therefore, will be negative 5.92, right? So negative 5.92. Well, so you are solving the equation, so that is what you do for 3 marks there. Okay, so also, just when you have this calculator for the purposes of practice, you probably would also activate your equation editor or equation part. We go to the third one there, and then just go ahead, put a, the value of a, well, of course, already identified, your value A is 3, so you say 3 equal to the value of B is negative 12, so minus 12 equal to the value of C is negative 176. So the calculator will therefore work out the answers for you. As you can see, that's the first answer, and then the second answer. Okay, right. In any case, you also have the maximum value and the minimum value, basically the turning point. So it gives you quite a lot of options. But for most exams, this type of calculator is not allowed. Right, so find the height of the prism. Right, I hope you still remember from our drawing. This was the x here, and this was x minus 4. Right, so in order for us to find the height of the prism, you now have to decide which value of x you are going to use. Obviously, you have to use the 9.92 because this negative value doesn't make sense. Distance can't be negative. So the height, therefore, is going to be 9.92 take away 4, okay, which is 5.92. Ironic, okay, isn't it? Let's the same answer with that one for different sign. Then they say a line is drawn on the surface of the prism. Okay, so let me just see if we can. We have our prism like this. We, know that maybe I'll go all the way up to there. So remember from our drawing, this is the previous part. Okay. So this is x, so this is going to be 9.92, and this is the height, which is 5.92, and that was 15 all the way over there. Now they are saying a line is drawn. Let's just get our diagram in order, okay, just to see where AFB would be. So all the way, so AFB, so ABF, all right, let's say AB, okay, go back just to make sure B is on top, okay, A is under, all right, so, okay, let's start, just say B is on top, so B is there, A is here, F is all the way there. So the line is drawn from B to F, okay, let's grab green, so line is drawn from there to there, so it's not to scale, okay, and then obviously you have something like so. All right, so you have got another right angle triangle there, okay, so you have another right angle triangle there. Calculate angle AFB. Okay, so AFB, so what do we know? We have to find the distance A to F. So first, the distance A to F, we have to use Pythagoras, okay? Because it's that A to F will be that right angle triangle over there. So Pythagoras then says we're going to take the 15 squared plus 9.92 squared. Okay, so that gives us about 17.8 or 9835, and so on and so on and so on. So that will be distance AF. Okay, or you can find BF. It's totally up to you, which one you want to do. Okay, but I'm gonna stick with that. So what do I have now? So let me see, what shapes do I have here as an option? Interesting. We can just simply draw it freehand. So let's have the triangle I have now. I have a triangle. B A F. Okay, it's going to be right angle triangle. It's that green one that I'm having there. A to F, we already now determined, is about 17.98. BA is 5.92. Okay, and we are looking for this particular angle over here. So we're going to use the tangent ratio. So you're going to say the tangent, which is opposite, in this case is 5.92 over the adjacent, which is 17.98. Okay, so of course, to find the angle, you're going to say the inverse tangent of that business over there over 17.98. Okay, there are different ways you can find this, but this is surely one of them. So you grab your calculator and then you make sure you find what that angle is. All right, so the inverse tangent, again, make sure your calculator is in degree mode. So you have got 5.92 upon 17.98. So there's a little bit of work that you had to carry out, and then 18.2 to one decimal place, 18.22, so it's 18.2 degrees. Well, there's a lot of work in that question. You could also have decided to find the sine if you were to calculate BF. Okay, it's totally up to you which method you prefer. Okay, question 8 or question 6 here. We have got a graph, complete a table of values. So you just grab your calculator and well, let's do that. So to find the missing value, we're going to say, whoopsie. So just clean that up. So we're going to say, so the function is, on top you have got x. In this case, our x is -3, and it should be cubed. All right, so I put -33. Good. Over 2 minus 3 times, in this case, -3 minus 1. Okay, let's see what does it give us. Well, -5.5. Okay, so -5.5. Well, it's 1 mark. It's only one that you had to fill in. Then we are now supposed to draw or to plot these values. So we're going to go ahead and plot. So when x is -3, we have realized that y is -5.5. So it's very important you understand the scale. Okay, let's make it a bit smaller. So when x is -3, y is -5.5. So each little block here, where can I do? Each little block here, it represents, because you have got 5 blocks, right? So you've got 1/5. So each little block represents 0.2. Okay, so if I was to look for -5.5, so that would be -5 is there. So that's -5.2, -5.4, and -5.5 is going to be halfway in that part. Okay, and when x is -2, the answer is 1. So -2 is 1. You get that from the table. So you just make that cross nicely. So when x is -1, I have 2 there. When x is -1, it's 1.5. So when x is -1, y will be 1.5. So here we go again. So 1.5, so that's 1.2, 1.4. It's more or less halfway somewhere over there. Then when x is 0, y equals to -1. So when x is 0, y equals to -1, which means it comes back again all the way up to where we had, all the way up to here. So let me just clean the things that are not needed here. So let me clean this for my scale where I needed to find out. All right, and let's just make sure we have that value. When x is 1, y is -3.5, and you can check that on the -3.2, 2.2, 3.5 is going to be somewhere here. When x is 2, y is -3, so it comes back. And when x is 3, you will see that it's, if you go back to the table, when x is 3, it's 3.5. Okay, so 3, we're going to go 3.5. Again, I need to find where is my pen. So 3 will be 3.5, 3.2, 3.4, 3.5, all the way there. So our objective now is to draw it. Okay. So please remember, you are only using a black pen or a blue pen in the examination. Good. Well, you have the liberty of using a graph that you can in the paper. You can actually in the examination. You can yeah, you can turn your paper around. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And this little part of mine is not so nice here. So the whole thing is going to disappear. Anyway, so that's like, it makes like a sort of a, yeah, mostly something like so. Well, goes down a little bit straight. Okay, you're going to turn your paper around, is it not? Okay, so, well, it goes down again from there, a little bit difficult, and then it turns, continuous rising. It's a little bit out there, but you have the advantage of drawing a very nice one with your, okay, with your, yeah, it looks interesting. It looks interesting, but of course you'll have a smoother curve than mine. Okay, your curve will be much smoother than mine. Right, so that's a whooping 3 marks for that. So you get the mark for the curve and for all the points plotted. Then use your graph to explain, and then let me just get that. Use the graph to explain why x cubed minus 6x minus 2x is equal to 6. Has only one root. Good. So in order for you to understand, if I take our equation or our function, let's say we know it as it was x cubed over 2 minus 3x minus 1. Well, that was equal to y. Okay, and now we have been given something like, and I'll write it underneath. We're given something like x cubed minus 6x minus 2 equals to 0. So in order for us to find this, okay, you realize that they must have multiplied the whole thing by 2. Okay. I hope you get that particular part. So if you multiply this blue one here by 2, okay, you're gonna get something like this. You're gonna get an x cubed minus 3x minus 2, okay, equals to 2y. Basically, that's what's gonna happen if you multiply that whole thing by 2. But now what we are given is, we are now given something like this. From here we are given something like x cubed minus, so sorry, this one here will not be 3x, it will be 2x, 6x here. This one here will become a 6x. That is if you multiply 2, let's change that color. So if I was to multiply this term here by 2, this term here by 2, and that term there by 2, and also that term there by 2. This is where I'm going to end up with. Okay, so I'm given x cubed. What I'm given is x cubed minus 6x minus 2 is equal to 6. So this looks very familiar. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to take the part on the other side here. This 2y equals to 6. So I'm just going to write it here. So 2y equals to 6. This gives me y equals to half of 6, which gives me y equals to 3. Okay. So if we draw that line, y equals to 3, that line, if you remember what that line is, y equals to 3, it's going to be a line. If I were to do it here, it's going to be a line, y equals to 3 is going to be a line that goes all the way like this. Can you see that this line only intersects this function at one place. Okay, it only intersects the graph, okay, once. That is the explanation that we are going to put here. The line y equals to 3, okay, the line y equals to 3, this one here, intersects the graph once. Okay, so that stuff in green was what's going to allow you to arrive at that particular conclusion. Then part D says the line L passes through the points 1, 1 and negative 2, 1. Well, let's go then back to our graph. So they say the line 1, 1, well, 1, 1, if I were to plot that particular point, we just see where I am. So 1, 1 is here. And the other one was negative 2, if I'm not mistaken, negative 2, negative 1. So negative 2, negative 1 will be somewhere here. So if I was to draw a line there, from here, okay, all the way up to there, well, let's just extend that so it's a little bit something like that. Okay, so that's the line because it says passes on the draw the line, so 1 mark for that. Now, if we are asked to calculate the gradient of that line, so it's very easy for you to find the gradient. You just need 2 points to find the gradient of a line. So let me just use the formula. So you have got a point. One of the point is 1, 1. The other point is negative 2, negative 1. So the gradient is you take one y value. Okay, so remember that's x values and y values. Okay, so you will have 1 minus negative 1, two difference in y values, and you're gonna say the same 1 minus negative 2, different in x values. While if you work this out, you get 2/3. Okay, so any case, the answer to that question then, the gradient there is nothing but 2/3. So when you use the formula, the gradient, you're getting the gradient with the correct sign. Okay, so the gradient of a line is given by the formula. Take one y value of 1, subtract another y value, take one value of x, subtract another y value of x. So that's what I've been doing. I had 1 minus negative 1 and 1 minus negative 2 from these two particular points there. Now they are saying find the x coordinate, the point where the line intersects with the curve. So we have to go back there and we must make now sure, all right, where does it intersect with the curve? Right, so I'm going to write them in green, indicate them in green. I hope you can see it. Just want to move my pen around, find out where exactly we are. Okay, here we go. So let's say, so this is one point of intersection. This is one point of intersection. And that's one point of intersection. So if you look at this point here, it's about negative 2, 5. You agree? If you look at this point here, it's about negative 2, 1, 2, 3. So maybe negative 2, 3. So the other part is negative 0, 3. So if you look at this point here, it's 2, 1, 2, 2, okay. Each small block here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 0.1, 0.2. So this is going to be 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7. Let's say it's roughly 2.7. So these are mine from my graph. Okay, so we do accept anything anything within that range to one decimal place or so. Okay, so you might have negative 0.4, maybe 2.8, but anything in that range is definitely acceptable. Okay, so let me just go ahead then and go answer that. So you're going to answer that and put those solutions here. So one of my answers was negative 2.5, the other one was negative 0.3, and the other one was 2.8. I think this one is straightforward. Okay, that's graph work. We come to question 7. So this question here deals with simultaneous equations, the mess of 4 cards. So I'm going to use the C to represent the cards and E to represent the envelope. So 4C plus 3E gives me 85. The other one is 2C plus 5E is 67. So you have to now solve these two equations simultaneously. So there are different ways you can do this. Of course, if you want to, you can multiply the second equation by 2 in order to make the coefficients of C the same. So you can say, okay, so this is my first equation and that is my second equation. And I'm going to multiply this equation here, the whole equation. I'm going to multiply by 2, or I'm going to double it. And this one, I'm just going to leave it like that, or I'm going to multiply it by 1. Okay, just going to remain like that. Okay, so let me multiply the other one here. So it becomes 4C plus 10E, and 67 times 2, that's 134. So maybe you can call this the third one. And then you bring down the other one, 4C plus 3E equals 85. Well, that one still remains the first equation. Now the coefficients of C's are the same. So what you effectively will be doing is we'll subtract equation 3 minus equation 1. So that gives you 7E equals to 49, and E will be 7. Okay, so there are therefore 7 envelopes. So the only thing that is left for you is to find the number of cards, and you go back to any one of your original equations in order for you to find the cards. So 4C plus 3 times 7 equals 85. Well, you will see that, let's clean that up a bit. So you will get 4C plus 21 here equals 85. Then you have 4C equals to 85, take away 21, and C will be that 85, take away 21. We're going to divide that answer by 4, and let's see what it gives us. Okay, so you're going to have 85, take away 21, oops, okay, then you're going to divide that whole answer by 4. That gives you C2 equals 16. So 16 gram is the mass of the envelope or the card, and 7 gram is the mass of the envelope. Factorize this completely. This is the difference of two squares. So this one should be straightforward for you. X minus 5 and X plus 5. Part C, you're supposed to make T the subject of the formula. So first of all, you go ahead and you put brackets here at this expression. So you're going to say T minus 5. You can put this over 1 if you want to. You can now have a sort of cross multiplication story going on. So R T minus 5 equals to 2T. And what you're going to do is you are going to distribute that. So that's going to be TR minus 5R equals to 2T. The reason we do this is we want all the terms containing T to one side. This is TR, so we're going to have TR minus 2T equals 5R. Okay, and now you're going to take out the T as a common factor here. So you're going to say T in brackets, you're going to have R minus 2 equals to 5R. And so obviously T will be 5R all upon R minus 2. In fact, this is also your answer. Okay, you could take another route and you can arrive at things like this. Minus 5R equals to 2 minus R. Essentially, it is also the same thing. It means the same thing. Okay, so when you multiply the term on top there by negative and under by negative, you're going to get the same. Question 8. Here are the first 3 patterns in a sequence made from counters. You can see the first one has got 8 counters, second one is 12, third one has got 20. So yeah, there is obviously something going on here. You are adding every time, if you see, because if you now take where we are 12, take away 8, okay, that's going to give you 4, right? 16 take away, that's going to give you 4. So we're going to add 4 every time, so we can actually complete like so. So find an expression in terms of n for the number of counters. Well, so the first term, this is an arithmetic progression, by the way. So the first term is a equals to 4. The common difference also happened. The first term, sorry, is 8. The first term is 8. The common difference is 4. Okay, so you're going to have, if you were to use that formula, you remember the formula T sub n equals to a plus d in brackets n minus 1. So it's 8 plus 4 times n minus 1. So you go ahead then and you multiply out. That's 8 plus 4n minus 4. So this gives us nothing but 4n plus 4. 2 marks. James is 150, so he uses these counters to make the largest possible pattern. So find the value of p. The value of p is from our formula where we have 4. Now we're just going to put p there, plus 4, and that equal to 150. Okay, right. So your objective simply here is to solve for p. So for p equals to 150, take away 4, and p will be 150, take away 4, and we divide that answer throughout by 4. So this gives us 36.5. So if you are now looking for the actual counters, so we are going to have 36 counters, and this is the acceptable answer. The fourth term in a different sequence is 26. Okay, the sequence is an arithmetic sequence. The eighth term is 2. So what do we know? We know that the eighth term is 2. We know that the fourth term is 26. We also know that the sequence is an arithmetic progression. Okay. What do we know as well? We can actually create our equations here. So I hope you remember from sequences, if you have the eighth term can be given as a plus, now it's going to be 8, because you're going to have d here. So I'm going to have 8 minus 1 times d. That's going to give you 2 as an answer. So this is going to be a plus 7d equals to 2. Okay, that represents the eighth term. The fourth term, we're going to do the same. So the fourth term is a plus 4 minus 1 d. The fourth term is equal to 26. So that's a plus 3d equals 26. So I have then 2 equations that I can solve simultaneously. And when I solve these 2 equations simultaneously, I'll have 7d minus, where we are, this is it, 7d minus 3d equals 2 minus 26. Okay, so 7, that's 4d equals minus 24. And my d is nothing but negative 6. Right. Find the first term of the sequence. So in order for us to find the first term of the sequence, so now that I know what my d is, I can substitute in either one of this equation or that equation. So it's a plus 3 times negative 6 equals 26. Well, 3 times negative 6 is negative 18, and a will be 26 plus 18. Okay, so that gives me 44 for my first term. 18 coming from 3 times negative 6, and then you take it over. Now they say find an expression in terms of n for the nth term of this sequence. So we know from our nth term we have got a plus d open bracket n minus 1. Our a is 44. Our d is negative 6 n minus 1. So we can go ahead and clear this up. So it's going to be negative 6n. Careful here, plus 6. So 44 plus 6 is 50. So the final answer, therefore, should be 50 minus 6n. And that is our formula. Some people, they put this common difference behind or in front. Doesn't really matter where you put it. Good. Question 9. In the diagram, ST is equal to x plus 1 centimeters, SR is x centimeters, and angle TSR is nothing but 30 degrees. The area of the triangle is 180 centimeters square centimeters. Find the value of x. Now remember, we are going to use the formula. And let me just change the color here. So the color is going to be, so the area is going to be given by a half of x times x plus 1 times the sine of 30 degrees. And that should equal to 180. The sine of 30 degrees is very interesting. It's a half. Okay. So you can go put this in your calculator if you are a bit unsure. So you say the sine of 30 degrees. Well, you realize it's a half. So basically, this is a half. I'm going to say times another half, comes from here, times x plus 1 equals 180. Well, a half times a half is nothing but 1/4. That is going to be x squared plus x equals 140. Oops, at 140 should look quite nice. So that's equal to 140. Okay, and then from there you get rid of that 4. So by multiplying, so you're gonna have x squared plus x equals 140. Multiply that by that. That is x squared plus x equals to 720. That gives me x squared plus x minus 720 is equal to 0. Okay, now we are now going to calculate the value of x, and in order to do that, you'll have to use the formula. Okay, because that value of c is way too big. That's 720, so we're going to use the formula. So the formula a is 1, b is -1, no, b is +1 as well, but c is -720. I hope you still know where I get those values from. So there's a 1 there, there's a 1 there, there's a -720. Okay, so using the formula, so x would be minus, I always say have a habit of writing the formula out so you don't make silly mistakes. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those values in there. So maybe use a different, so this is 1, this is 1, this is for a, that's 1, this is b, 1, and this is -720, and this is 2, which is 1. Okay, let's see, what do we get? So my equation is going to be a is 1 equals to 1 equals to -720. Horrible number. Okay, so one solution is 26.3, the other solution is -27.3. So we have two solutions. One answer for x is 26.33, or another answer for x is -27.33, and so on. So the acceptable one for us will be 26 point. So we're going to go back to our space there. Okay, so x will be 26.3. So I'll be accepting 26.3 to 1 decimal place. So x is 26.3 to 1 dp. Okay. Question 10. So it's 3 hours long, this paper. Perhaps when you are writing such papers, you should have sweets in the examination if they allow that, so that you don't struggle. 3 buoys, K, L, and M, show the course of a boat. Rate, MK is 4 kilometers, KL is 9 kilometers, and angle MKL is 108. Calculate the distance of ML. Now, in order for you to find the distance of ML, you have to use the cosine rule. So, well, remember, if you were looking for the cosine rule, the formula is K. So it's a square equals to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times the cos or whatever angle is there. Alright, so obviously then you're going to have the a alone and all of this stuff, the b squared. Okay, remember you've got always two answers. You have plus, but I'm going to take the positive one because we don't want the negative one. We're looking for distance 2bc cos of a. Right, so that's what I'm going to apply in this case. I'm going to say ml is equal to everything's going to be in the square root. So it's 4 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 4 times 9 times the cosine of 108 degrees. Okay, so now it's just a matter of using your calculator correctly. And by the way, if you are using a different type, these olden types of calculators, it will always be wise if you perhaps put brackets here and another bracket there once you do that. Okay, so you grab your calculator. So I'm going to put everything under the square root. Don't have to necessarily do that. You can work it step by step, and then you take the answer at the end, then take the square root. Anyway, it's totally up to you. So I've got 4 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 4 times 9 times the cosine of 108 degrees. Everything gives me 10.92. Okay, so I have ml is about 10.92012. So this is going to be kilometers. So they are then looking for the answer. So we're going to give our answer to 3 significant figures. So the correct answer then, or the acceptable answer, would be 10.9. So I had to make this a bit smaller for you to be able to see the diagram, also to understand that you must use the cosine rule there. 3 marks. Part B. The bearing of L from K is 125 degrees. The bearing of L from K. So let me just draw the triangle so that maybe it's a bit better if I do it here. So I have my triangle like so, and perhaps we can have let's take the one with the arrow to indicate the north line. Okay, so I have my arrow here, I have my arrow over there, I have my arrow over there. So they are parallel. Okay, what else do we need? So we know that this is 4 kilometers. We know this is 9 kilometers. We also know that this angle is 108 degrees all the way. We also know that this is 10.9 kilometers. Okay, what else are we told? So that part of the question says the bearing of, so let me bring in a different color. So this angle here of L, so this is going to be my L, this is M, and this is K. So this here is 125 degrees. So ultimately, we can also then calculate what this angle is on that side. Okay, so the whole thing take away from 360. So you'll be saying, okay, wait a minute. So that's 360 minus 108 minus 125. Okay, that gives you 127. So this one here is 127. And one thing you should also know that angles that are co-interior angles that are between parallel lines, they are supplementary. So this is 53 degrees with that 127 because they add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so I pretty much fill in the information that I needed. So they say calculate how far L is south of K. Now, this is a little bit different. B Roman 1. How far L is south of K? L is south of K. So what they are looking for, and if I was to draw that, so you have your triangle, because I have my triangle like so, right? So what they are looking for is change maybe this one here. So I'm going to drop a line like so, another line like so. So that's going to make us a right angle triangle. So what is the information? Well, I know from my information that there is 9 kilometers, okay? And I'm looking for this distance here of x. But what do I know? I also know that if I was to draw, this is my k, this is my k, and this is my L, so to speak. If I were to look for this angle here, which is basically what I do over there, okay, maybe it's not so, the dotted lines are not so nice, but you will get an idea. Just to get my dotted line in there. So that angle there, so if the whole thing there is 125, the other one comes up there is 125, then this angle here should be 180 take away 125. So 180 take away 125. So that angle there is 55. So this angle is 55. Alright, so this is 9 kilometers. That one is x. Okay, so I have a right angle triangle where I now have to find the value of, so that's x there, that's 55, that's 9. Okay, so I'm looking for, let's say we say this is n, so we're looking for n to L, so that distance there. So we are going to use the cosine rule, because you have got an angle and you have a hypotenuse. Okay, so we're going to use the cosine rule. So just give me a minute so I can just charge my computer. Right. So hopefully you also work through this question paper on your own, so that most of these things don't catch you by surprise. Okay. Just do this. Decided not to pause the video. There we go. Well, while I'm getting my equipment ready, you can quickly work out the distance n to L. Okay, I'm back. Decided not to pause. I just had to set up my work here. Right, so I have actually used so much space in this particular question. Well, we are looking for the cosine, so we're going to say the cosine of 55 degrees. It is what is opposite, or the cosine 55 degrees is what in this case is x, because we are looking for the value of x. In order for us to find the value of x, because I just want to know how far south is, né? So not NL, but the value of x. So I can actually go ahead then and remove this n so it doesn't look like something. We're looking for the value of x. All right. All right, so malfunction of systems again. So this is going to do its thing. Yeah, well, it's getting to 3:18 a.m. I'm halfway through this paper. I'm just going to continue so I can finish it. So we're going to restore our work and then we're going to continue. So the distance x is the adjacent, in this case is x over 9. So x over 9. Right, so in order for us to find the value of x, we cross multiply. X would be 9 times the cosine of 55 degrees. So just make sure your calculator is in degree mode. So you're going to find this value. So you're going to say 9 times the cos. You don't have to put times between them. Okay, get about 5.16. All right, so that distance there is about 5.16 kilometers. Then they say find the three-figure bearing of k from m. K from m, I think I have worked out the 53 degrees. So my answer then would be 0, 5, 3. Remember, it should be given as a three-figure bearing. Okay, it should be given as a three-figure bearing. Should never forget that. Good. That takes me to question 11. We are very close to finish the paper. Question 11. The diagram shows a cuboid, rectangular prism. Determine the number of vertices. Well, vertices are like the corners. No? So this is 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, 6, 7, 8. So it has got 8 vertices. Clear? The edges, well, let me take the vertices away. The edges, I'm going to draw the edges, about few of them, okay, so you can know what it is. I'll just highlight them. So that's an edge there. That's 1. That whole thing is an edge. 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 under. I've got 4 on top. Can you see that? These are edges. And then obviously you'll have other. You have got 8 now. So it's 9, 10, and then 11. There will be 12. Edges. All right? Edges are 12. Next question, faces. Well, faces are, all your rectangles together, okay? And I think should not be a problem for you to know there must be 6 of them, okay? 6 rectangles there. Another cuboid has the following dimensions: 11.6, 2.5, and 9.2 centimeters respectively. All these measurements are given to one decimal place. Find the maximum. So to one decimal place, so one decimal place is 0.1. You divide the answer by 2. That gives you 0.05. So you are going to, because they're saying maximum possible volume, so you're going to find the upper bounds of each of the areas. So this is going to be 11.65. This is going to be 9.25, and this is going to be 2.55. You need to find the upper bound of each of those dimensions, those measurements, and then you now find the maximum volume, right? So the maximum volume is going to be 2.55 times 9.25 times 11.65, well, all of this is going to be cubic centimeter. All right, so it's about 274.8 to 1 decimal place. Okay, so guess if you were to multiply it out on the calculator, you'll get something like 274.794375 cubic centimeters. And so the question requires you to give the answer here for this particular value to 1 decimal place. That's why I have rounded it to 1 decimal place as 274.8, because naturally sometimes working with limits of accuracy, final answers are not always rounded. Okay, express x squared minus 2x minus 3 in the form of ax plus 2 all squared plus q. That's basically vertex form. And you know, vertex form is going to help you quite a lot with graphs in order for you to have an appreciation of that. Well, in any case, you can use this x equals 2. So you have minus b over 2a. This is the axis of symmetry. It's just that when you are now working out the axis of symmetry, and I'll explain that quite in a bit, axis of symmetry, because this here is a graph, and if you were to graph it, that's how it's going to look like. Okay, right, let's suppose that's going to be the y-axis. So the axis of symmetry, what we're going to calculate here, the value of b, as you can see, b is -1, and the value of a is that. When you are calculating this gives you x equals 2. In this case is 1 over 2, which is a half, if I'm not mistaken. The value of b, in this particular case, the value of b here is -2. So just not made a small mistake. The value of b is -2. Right. So once you work it out, okay, I'll wait the pen. So this is going to give you x equals to 1. So what does x equal to 1 mean? It's a line that will be cutting this graph in half. Okay. Of course, that line there is going to be like a dotted line. Okay. So if I was to draw the, and let me do that rather, let me remove this, and let's have so if I was to draw, this is the y-axis, and if I was to say that is the x-axis, don't worry about the arrow waypoints. Okay, this line here, x equals to 1, that line is going to be a line that will be somewhere here. So that is going to be the axis of symmetry. Okay, that point over here, this point here over here, that point is referred to as the turning point. That is the point 1, comma, because this is the line x equals to 1. That's the point 1, comma. Now, in order for me to find the value of y, what the value of y is here, I will have to take this point of 1 and I'll substitute it into my original expression. Okay, so I'll be saying 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. This is going to be 1 minus 2, that's -1, minus 3 gives me -4. So that is -4. So that's the turning point. So this is the vertex form that we are talking about. So when you are writing it in this form, you can identify the value of a. Well, the value of a is 1 over here. So you're going to have x minus 1 all squared. So you're going to have the opposite of this sign. Okay? And on the outside, you're going to have the -4. Okay, if they were asking you to find the turning point, the turning point is 1, -4. But if you write it in vertex form, the x value must take an opposite sign. There is also other ways that you can find this, but for this one, quite straightforward, easy for you to find it like that. Now you're supposed to sketch the curve. Right, so I have done that. But in order for us to sketch the curve, you need to know where the curve will cut the various intersects. So let's just get in there. So you have the curve as an equation. It's x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals to 0. If you were to factorize this, it's going to give you x minus 3 and x plus 1 equals to 0. And then you have two answers, x equals to 3 or x equals to -1. So if 3 is here and -1 is here, these are going to be the points where it will intersect. So this is the x-intercept. The y-intercept, you can simply find it from the equation. Okay, the y-intercept is this value. Y-intercept will be -3. All right, so we know where it's going to cut, but I'm going to remove that because I want you not to write those things first. All right, so I know that y-intercept is when x equals to 0. So when you have got 0 minus 2 times 0 minus 3, that gives you the y-intercept. In this case, the y-intercept is nothing but -3. Okay, so we also know the turning point from my work before was 1, -4. Okay, so let's suppose if you now draw it, you know exactly the graph is going to open up like this. So this is what you do first, okay? You can just go ahead and do that. And once you're now done with that, now you can go ahead and put the values in. So this one here is going to be -1. This one here is going to be 3. This one here is -3 because the y-intercept. So the turning point, okay, because I always say to people, right, go ahead and put the turning point, don't be afraid, all right? The turning point, is obviously going to be here. All right, remember these are just sketches. All right, so at the end of the day, the turning point is the point 1, -4. So it's a little bit below than that -3. But that is the sketch. That's 5 marks. You get a mark for your curve, for the x-intercepts, for the y-intercept, and for your turning point. Okay. And remember the graph is opening up like that because what the coefficient of x squared here is +1. If it's a negative number, the graph would have taken the other shape, which means it would have closed down. Good. Question 13a. You are supposed to write this as a single logarithm and simplify. So I hope you still remember your logs. So this is log 60 squared minus log 2 squared minus log 3 squared. Okay, so this one here log, so you have 60 squared, you're subtracting, so you're going to divide the numbers, all right, minus log 3 squared. Okay, so at the end of the day, this gives you something here, so you can go ahead and say, wait a minute, what is 60, just the numbers there, 60 squared divided by 2 squared. Now that gives you 900. Okay, so this is log 900 minus log 9. Are you with me? 3 squared is 9. So that's log 900 divided by 9, which is log 100. And log 100 is nothing but 2. Okay, so this answer here, the final answer would be 2. But I will also accept, if I was marking this, I'll also accept log 100. Part 2, solve for x. So that's a logarithmic equation. Again, you have to simplify the right hand side. So you're adding logs of the same basis. Once you all add log of the same basis, you are multiplying the numbers. That's x should multiply with x minus 2. And that is log 2 cubed. So this is log. So you have going to have here x squared minus 2x is equal to log 8. Now from here you can drop the logs, okay? So you simply have x squared minus 2x equals to 8. Maybe I should write that 2x nicely. And you have x squared minus 2x. Goodness gracious. Let's just make sure. Here we go again. Okay. I think we know what's about to happen, so I'll have to save and continue. Alright, we are nearly finished with the work. It's when I press accidentally something on my stylus. Alright, so just gonna go ahead and open it up again. Maybe you can have tea while I do that. Alright, let's restore, and we were busy with this equation here. So we have got x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals to 0. So we can actually solve this. This is going to be x minus 4. It's going to be x plus 2 equals to 0. Right? You have two solutions because it's a quadratic equation. And quadratic equations, everything should equal to 0. So I'm going to change my color. X minus 4 is equal to 0. Or x plus 2 is equal to 0, x is equal to 4, or the second one, x equals to negative 2. Well, this one here is invalid because if you go back to your original equation here, you can't have a negative 2 as an answer here, right? Because a negative log negative 2 does not exist. Even if you had to put it here, you'll get negative 4. So you can't have logarithm of a negative number here. This is undefined, does not exist. Okay, so we only therefore accept one answer, and let's see, even if I put 4 will definitely give me a solution here. Log 4 plus log 4 minus 2. Okay, that will give me 3 log 2. So log 4 is the acceptable answer. Okay, so also don't forget to check your answers, and I'll maybe write it somewhere here so you can see, because now it becomes log 4 plus log 4 minus 2. Let's see if it's equal to 3 log 2. Now, first of all, let's determine what is 3 log 2. Well, so calculate the value 0.9089038. So this is right. 0.90308 and stuff like that. So let's see if we then say log 4 close plus log 4 minus 2. Do we get more or less the same answer? Yes, you see we get the same answer, therefore that solution checks out. Okay, always remember when you're getting quadratics or solving log equations, you must always check and see if your answers are making sense. So what do we have here? Question 14, we have coordinate geometry. And then question 15, we'll have some sort of equation, very straightforward, inequality, and then we are nearly done. Okay, so question 14. 2 points A 1,7 and B 5,6 are joined from a straight line AB. Find the gradient. Of course, this is just a repetition. Of course, we have done something like this similar. Finding a gradient of a line. The gradient of line AB will be tensor of y value. So you say 7 minus 6 over 1 minus 5. So it is 1 over negative 4. So the gradient is nothing but negative 1/4 or negative 0.25. Totally up to you if you prefer to use decimals. In this case, you are supposed to find the equation, so we're going to use the formula y minus y sub 1 equals to m and x minus x sub 1. Okay, we only need to use 1 point, so I'm going to use the point 7,1. Okay, that point B, 1,7 I mean. So I'm going to use point A. You can use 1,7. You can use point B. We know the gradient. The gradient is nothing but negative 1/4. So I'm going to have y minus 7, that's the y value, equals the gradient negative 1/4, then x minus 1. Okay, so from here, just a way of manipulating this and writing it in the above mentioned form. So I'm going to multiply throughout by 4, so that's going to be 4 y minus 7 equals to negative x minus 1. Of course, this here is going to give me nothing but 1 minus x if I multiply out. Okay, putting the positives in front. That's 4y minus 28. Okay, right, so if I clean all of these things up, it's going to be x positive, if I move it over, plus 4y, okay, and then if I work the numbers, it's going to be minus 29, and that equals to 0. This is the format in which it should be given, and you just rearrange your terms over there in order for you to rearrange. So if you rearrange, you'll be saying 4y plus x minus 28 minus 1 equals to 0, and give you what we have on that side over there. The line AB intersect with another line, y equals to minus x plus 20, okay, at point C. So what do we know? So this is line y. So let me just rewrite it. X plus 4y minus 29 equals to 0. Then let's bring in my highlighter. So this y here, I'll replace it here. Good. So that's x plus 4 minus 29 equals to 0. And in here, I'm going to have minus x plus 20. So that's going to be x, okay, minus 4x plus 80 minus 29 equals to 0. This is going to allow me to solve for x, okay? And if I do that, I'm going to eventually end up with minus 3x equals to minus 51, where x is nothing but 17. Right, so now they are saying, if I go back to this equation, y equals to negative, so the value of y is now going to be, because I know that that is 17, so the value of y is going to be 3. So the coordinate of C is going to be 17 for my value of x and 3 for my value of y. Find the equation of the line through A, which is perpendicular to AB. So let's just bring in point A again, 1, 7. Also, if you tend to make mistakes, write x and y on top so you don't make mistakes, okay? Then gradient when the line AB. So let us just quickly go back and get the equation of line AB. We know that the equation of line AB all the way, the gradient of line AB is negative 1 over 4. So I'm going to write that down. So very important. The gradient of line AB was nothing but negative 1 over 4. Why is that important? Because if you are talking about perpendicular lines, okay, so however that line goes, perpendicular lines, their gradients, when you multiply the gradient of perpendicular lines, gradient of AB, times this gradient of this line that we are now looking for, this line that goes through A, they should give us negative 1. So negative 1 over 4 multiplied by something should give you negative 1. So that gradient will be negative 1 times negative 4, okay, the inverse of that. So the gradient of that line that we are looking for will be this. It will be 4. So the equation that we are now looking for that passes through that point will take the form y equals to 4x plus c, because its gradient is equal to 4. So in order for us to find what is the y-intercept, we need that point A being the point 1, 7. And you then going to substitute that point into for x and for y. So that is 7 equals to 4 times 1 plus c in order for you to find the value of c, which happens to be nothing but 3. So at the end of the day, the equation that we are looking for is nothing but y equals to 4x plus 3. Okay, can play around with that, and that is what you should arrive at. Okay, you have the luxury of pausing and studying all over again, okay? All right, can we go to question 15? We're very nearly done with this paper. Amy, Mary, Karen, they collect badges. Amy has X. Mary has 12 more badges. Okay, I'm going to write that information somewhere here. Amy has X. This one has 12 more. Karen has 3 times as many as, so it will be 3 in bracket X plus 12. Hope you get that. So this one of Karen can be calculated as 3x plus 36. So we have Karen, okay, and we have, who's this one? We have Mary, and then last but not least, we have X for Amy. There we go. It's kind of nice playing around with the colors. It brings a sort of a interesting scenario. So altogether they have 123 badges, so we're going to form an equation. So it is x plus 12 plus 3x plus 36 should give you 123. So that will be 5x plus 48 is equal to 123. So basically you are therefore going to solve for x. Okay, it's a linear equation, nothing to be afraid of. So 123 minus 48, we're going to divide that answer throughout by 5, and we are going to see that x is equal to 15. Find the integer values of y which satisfy the inequalities. Well, you're gonna take. I'm gonna bring in my color again. So I'm gonna work out this one. So that is going to be 4y plus 7 less than 39. And what I'm also going to do, we are going to work out this one here, which is going to be 39 less than equal to 7y plus 2. Now we're going to bring them all together. Okay. Right, so let's do this one. So this one is 4y is less than 39 minus 7. So that's 4y is less than 32. So that y is less than 32 divided by 4. So y is less than 8. If you were to continue. Okay. Once we do the other one on the other side, well, that is going to be 39 minus 2 is less than or equal to 7y. 39 take away 2, that is 37. Then when you divide by 7, so that is 37 divided by 7, that gives you y is greater or equal to 5 and 2 over 7. Okay. As a decimal, this story can be written as y is greater than or equal to. Okay, I didn't change the sign. I'm just writing the y on the other side. You always read it from the vantage point of the y. So y is greater than or equal to 5. I'm going to write it as a more or less as a decimal, so you can get an idea more or less where it is. And this is y is less than 8. So 5 being your smaller number, and the other one the other side. Okay, so on a number line, for example, if I was to do this on a number line, right? On a number line, it would have been something like this. Of course, it's so horrible to use this arrow because the arrow is not on both sides. So I'm going to just remove it. Just gonna have a simple line there. So if this is still my arrow, okay, good. We'll add bring line. So if this is a number line, then okay, here we go. The smaller number, this 5.2857 will be somewhere here. 8 will be somewhere here. Okay. So it says that y is less than 8. So when it's less than 8, then I know that it's less than 8. We open there. Y is greater than or equal to, so this one here will be included. Okay. So if you have to look at the numbers now, the whole numbers there, integers, because integers are positive and negative whole numbers including 0. So the whole number that will be there will be 5, it will be 6, 7. 5 will be towards that side, okay? Okay, because it's 5.2. So the ones that therefore we are looking for, would be 6 and 7, because those are the integers that satisfy this condition. So you can't do this question without initiating some sort of assistance from a number line where you can illustrate this, and then it gives you a clearer picture on how to solve this particular question. Okay, that brings me to my very last question for this question paper that I gave to my learners in September. So y is 5 less than the square? Y is 5 less than the square of the sum of P and Q. Alright, so y equals to P plus Q all squared minus 5. That's it. Right, stand by for paper 1 that I have. It's out of 80 marks. I'm going to upload that one tomorrow. Okay, and it's hopefully going to assist you. So that's going to be paper 1 that I'm going to do. It's 80 marks. I'm going to do the extended papers of 2021. That's paper 2 plus paper 4. In the old legacy, the old syllabus, because that stuff is still important for ordinary level, because of ordinary level content anyway. Then you should then have, if you check and you follow on my channel, you should have enough material for preparing yourselves for the examination. You'll have 2020's question paper 1 plus paper 2. It's also on the YouTube channel. You'll have the 2021 paper 1 plus paper 2, the leaked one, and the one that they wrote in January, okay, of 2022, January of 2022. Okay, they wrote that, and then now you have got my exam. You also have a specimen paper that I've worked out. I've worked out a specimen paper, paper 1 and a paper 2, and various other material you can find in order for you to be prepared. Prepare yourselves for your upcoming examination. So stand by for tomorrow, and I'm going to do paper 1, and I'm also going to do the extended papers that was written in 2021, and then I'm going to upload all of these papers on my Google channel or Google Classroom, where you can actually have a link that will allow you to download the papers. Okay, all right, good luck with your studies, and we are going to do a lot of work during the course of these few weeks to prepare you for your examinations.